Hey everybody, what's up? This is Ari in the air. Welcome back to the channel. Stoked you're here today. I've got one of my favorite mentees, young Max. We had a wonderful flight off of Pine Mountain yesterday, and today I am going to help him review, debrief, and mentor him in his cross country progression. So thanks for being here, Max.
Thank you.
So why don't you give us the overview here and let's start walking you through this flight.
Let's let's do it. All right. So yesterday we were flying at Pine Mountain. We launched a Northwest launch site, the summit, and the wind was east, or sorry, the wind was west with some north in it. So we were flying east, and my goal in mind was to get to Burns. That was a stretch goal. I was really just happy to fly for a couple hours. So yeah, let's start this up. I launched first. Um, let's see. So I launched first, kind of just found a little bubble, frisbee with it, um, took it up a little bit. Let me get my stuff up here, keeping it in metric so we can get the meters per second. So this thermal I kind of lost. Meanwhile, Aerie launched. There were two
Okay,
other
let's pause it.
pilots.
Let's pause it.
Yeah,
Go back. Show me the like kind of circle around this track log. So give me the vertical.
like this.
Yeah, or even like straight down onto it.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can see that I could tell the thermal is drifting with the wind, but I
Hmm.
definitely drifted too much, right?
Agreed.
Got a little
And
heavy there.
then when you flew back into the wind, let's play that.
Hmm.
Yep, you're flying back into the wind. Okay, right here, right here. You see this?
Yep,
You see you're right behind it
yep,
and you're getting basically pummeled with sync.
yep.
So, a couple things. You've been learning about this frisbee technique that I talk about a lot, which is like just following light lift with turns, circles where you emphasize your downwind legs, you're covering lots of distance. This technique only works when you're ready to go downwind. So if you're still
Mm,
trying to get established, you can't frisbee. Unless you're like low and out front and you can frisbee back to the terrain feature that you're trying to get established over. So you started the frisbee technique a little too soon. And in general, when you lose it, where you see the spaghetti squigglies,
hmm.
that's where you're going to want to push back into the wind to try to reestablish to the front of the thermal. So using that thermal tracker on your instrument, find yourself back over top of where it is you ever had a climb, is
Yep.
most useful. It's not the end of the world to go downwind, but you want to go upwind first. You want to find the front of the thermal before you go downwind because what you found was that when you did went downwind and you frisbeed and you lost it, that put you at the back of the thermal and you probably needed a bunch more speed bar to push through the back of the thermal. And instead of pushing through the back of the thermal, you got drilled behind it and you pretty much followed. Yeah, if you flatten this out even more, you can pretty much see that your track log, yeah, just flatten it. Go like take the camera to the ground. Yeah.
Like this. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the view you want.
you
Yeah.
see how that track log basically follows the climb angle.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
because the thermal is creating sink right behind it, and you're basically getting stuffed into that. On a good glider and lots of speed bar, you can push through that uh,
Yep.
and get back into the thermal. But at any rate, I did see you a little further over the back than I thought you should be. And the phrase that everyone uses is the lift worth the drift? So if
Mm,
you're in plus two, then basically following plus two all day long, no problem. But if you're in less than that and you're really drifting, especially onto like going east from there into the bowl of Pine Mountain is a difficult place to be. So you'd rather stay out front, find something that's actually going to establish you.
definitely. Yeah, because this is this aspect right here is windward, and the big thermal to establish is most likely going to consolidate over the summit and not in this bowl, right?
Yeah, and I wouldn't even worry about that layer, like where is the big thermal going to be because the big thermal can come from anywhere and you don't need to
Mm,
worry about like what is the trigger or what's going to happen. It's more
yeah,
just like am I productively climbing? And if you're productively climbing, then taking the thermal downwind or wherever the wind is going to take you is totally fine. But if it's not
yep,
super productive, then following it over the back is not what you want because you're going to have to push out front to reestablish.
right, right. All right. Continuing the flight. So I'm kind of just on the struggle bus for a bit. I get
We
quite
both
low.
are.
Yep. I think Airy, the other three pilots, including Airy, got in this nice climb. Um, I found something on my own. And yeah, I think I rode this
Look
thing,
at
the
us.
Cloudbase. Yeah.
Synchrothermaling
Is
like
this
a
really
team.
accurate?
Look at us. We are
I
killing
don't
it.
remember. I don't remember us actually thermaling so close together. I thought that
Yeah.
you were
I
already kind of
ran to the
high.
thermal you were showing it. I ran over to you. You were nailing it.
Ah,
Look at us.
yeah. Yeah, and then it was quite light at launch, so my I feel like you can see that this thermal just kind of drifted, even though I think we're at
11,000
3 meters.
feet.
That's yeah, we're at 11, and it wasn't a very strong thermal, and it was drifting quite into the wind, just the light wind. So
Follow it. I think
yeah,
we could have followed it even longer had Irish
yeah,
Mike not pushed out and led out. I think we probably
yeah.
would have just kind of followed it and followed it and followed it. But at any rate,
Also, I want to point this out just for the viewers. You can tell that I am out climbing area here. Um,
you
anyways,
did. You climbed great yesterday.
cool. So yeah, we did our first glide here, heading east. Um, and so Aries much faster than me. I'm on like a high B. Aries on his XC racer. And the other pilot, Whelan, who's out here, is on like a C wing, and he's comfortable pushing lots of bar. So I get stuck behind, which I don't really mind. Like you guys show me the therms. This part though was a little bit tricky. So I came in here and I actually I'm not sure if this might be the one that was easy to get, but no, this is right. So I'm pushing here. Ari was in a climb,
Okay, so
um, and and Whelan was also climbing out in front of me. And I found a bump here. I turned in it, wasn't satisfied, kept going. Same deal here. I spent a little bit more time here putzing around,
mhm.
and it wasn't worth my time. And then
Yep.
I made the decision to go to this terrain right here. And this is like a little rim feature. And um,
You were
I
low.
went
I saw
there.
you low there.
I was very
But
low.
here,
Yeah,
let's go back. Let's go back
yeah,
because where you see my squiggly climbing,
yeah,
you actually miss this, and we can have a productive conversation about how to find the climb that your buddy is in that he's way over your head, right? Because already
yeah,
here I have 3,000 meters and you've got 2,500, so I'm 1,500 feet over your head here,
yep,
and you're like, how do I get into this climb? And so where you're turning, if you look at it from above, you see that you're already downwind of my climb.
yep. Yeah, I
So,
should have pushed a
so
little bit further.
yeah, so you know where the drift is. So basically fly directly under me and then
Hmm.
from where I currently am, then you're going to want to push directly into the wind because you're imagining that I've climbed in a thermal that is drifted, so you're going to push directly into the wind from under me. And honestly, even better because you noticed on your first climb that if you follow the back of the thermal, then you're in sync. So if
Yep,
you actually come in from the side, but you're aiming for the upwind side of where you think my thermal might be, then,
yeah,
and you were pretty close here. You were pretty close, but
yeah.
you're 300 meters off or so
I think I should have been a little bit more. What's the
west.
word? Just like a west, but yeah, but I should have been like I think because of my previous experience here, and I was thinking out like I wasted time turning in that lift over here. I was maybe not patient enough and just wanted to like get away from there and search because I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
And I should have been more patient and pushed into the wind more and just like understood that I probably like, when you see somebody climb out in front of you, it's really hard to like understand exactly where they are
Yeah.
um
It is
in
really
on
hard.
the terrain. So
The other
yeah,
thing that I'll say here, looking at this track, you see there's a big disparity between the orange line and the pink line as to how we got to there. So I
yeah,
turned and you didn't follow me. And I think that that's probably a mistake for you in this, you know,
yep,
like
definitely.
if, like, honestly, this is my home site, but if Hinsey is flying there and he's out front and I'm following him, he turns, I'm following him. That's just
Yep,
it.
yeah,
So,
yeah. All right. So yeah, at this point, Whelan was also climbing out here, and I think I went over that terrain, didn't really find anything, and then I saw this is the terrain right here that I'm talking about,
yeah.
and then I saw Whelan climbing out. So then and there was also a cloud forming between me and Whelan, so I was like, all right, just go to Whelan, and there should be a lift between me and him. So sure enough, climbed, and this was a pretty good climb.
Yeah.
Um, I think I took it to 12. Um,
There's 11,000. Oh, interesting.
yeah,
Okay,
didn't
so
quite milk
let's
it.
pause. Let's pause.
Yeah.
Let's look at the top of the thermal, how you left the thermal. So you left the thermal crosswind. See that?
Hmm. Yeah.
So when you're going to leave the thermal, if you're losing it, then I would go one of two directions. If you're looking for the thermal that you've been in, you're going to go one of two directions. What directions are you going to go? Quiz time.
You can go upwind or downwind.
Upwind or downwind, brother? Basically, that's only spot that I would reasonably look for the thermal if I'm losing it.
Hmm.
Upwind first, and then if I don't find it upwind, then I'm going to go downwind. There was also some really big clues in the area, which were gigantic cumulus clouds at about 13,000 feet over your head. Definitely taking a look at those, trying to estimate, okay, if basically a cloud, you treat it just as if it's a pilot. If you see me
Hmm.
climbed out, then you're going to say, okay, if he's climbed out in a thermal, then where is that thermal going to drift, and how do I intersect the climb, even though I'm much lower, right? So if the cloud is way up there, then I'm trying to kind of calculate in my head what's the drift angle of the thermal based on the wind, and how do I fly in to intersect that thermal.
Yep.
So using
Yep.
all of the observation that you possibly can so that you're not just guessing randomly.
Yep. And I think this might be a good time to talk about this, but I'm this season I've mostly flown on blue thermal days, and I have experience flying in clouds in Colombia when the conditions are very benign, but here in the desert, I'm definitely a little bit more anxious to be flying around clouds. And I think that I did get a frontal on this climb. So I wasn't not the best flying like attitude, but like I didn't feel like I needed to go to Cloudbase. I didn't really want to be there. Like I just wanted to get enough altitude to be comfortable leaving where I am and going on glide.
Mhm.
I could have definitely stuck around in this thing to Cloudbase like you did. You're much higher than me when you started to go on glide
Yeah.
for maybe another 1,000 feet. But um, yeah, so that was definitely in my head of just like, cool, we're high enough. Let's just get out of here. Um,
Yeah.
I was less interested in staying and going up into the cloud. To me, it's just another thing. Like it's another thing to worry about. And the clouds also were super benign at this time. Like they were very short. They weren't very tall.
But they were
But
also
just
disappearing as fast as they were appearing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah. Anyways, so
Okay, well, I think we should talk about that, but I think at some point you told me that you left a climb at 12 and went to 14 non-consensually. So let's go there and I'll save my spiel. I'll
yep,
save my obedience spiel.
cool. So yeah, just pushing east. I wasn't exactly going with the wind, but my goal in mind was Burns, which is more an east direction than going south. The wind was kind of northwest right here. So um
Some little
Yeah.
frisbee here.
Yeah, there was something here. So,
Yeah,
I don't really remember this, but yeah, I
yeah.
guess I
Flatten
found
out this
something.
camera angle so we can see the side angle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So you notice you did a good job there following lift, even though it was light at first and you were frisbeeing in it.
Hmm.
It leads you to lift.
Yeah.
All lift leads to lift is the mantra. Nice. Yeah, 4,000 meters. Is this where you did it? You left and you were still
No, there's one more climb.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt pretty good about that. And at this point on this glide, I was drinking and eating some bars. You can kind of
Nice.
see my glide changes direction, and I think
Oh,
it
yeah.
doesn't go perfectly straight because I was doing
I
that.
think that, yeah, you were kind of going out to the highway there for a second, and then you said,
Yeah,
let's just keep it deep
yeah.
here.
Well, around here, so I'm getting kind of low, and I was like, well, and I thought that this was going to be a final. And there's a road, I think it's Fox Butte
Yeah,
that runs right here. You can see it to the highway. So at this point, I was like, well, let's find an LZ and let's get close to the highway so the retreat's easier and find some shade. So I was kind of just um, turning more towards the highway for that. There was like a little farm or like barn right here um, that I was gonna get, but I found something and um, yeah, climbed back up.
productive.
Yeah, this climb took me to 14, and there was a cloud more east that I was drifting towards.
Okay, now it gets productive.
Yeah.
And notice you lost that climb one, two, three times and still managed.
Yep.
Okay, okay, okay. Go back, go back, go back, go back, go back. Amazing. Look at that. Look at that line.
Yeah.
Oh, you're so lucky. You're so lucky. Okay,
I
so
mean, there was a cloud, and the cloud was east of me, so I knew that if I was just traveling east with it, that the therm was just going to be
the
sucking. So
therm. Okay, brother. So what I heard you say was that flying around clouds is something that primes your nervous system to be triggered,
yep.
and it scares you, the idea of flying near clouds around here.
Hmm.
So you are priming yourself to be upset, triggered, or fight against something that is really hard to fight against.
Yeah.
So let's first talk about what it is that you should be looking out for in clouds so that you can feel like you have your finger on the pulse of what's happening during the day and you feel good that when things are dangerous, you can assess that and avoid them.
Hmm.
Okay, so basically what you're looking for is either expansive horizontal development, like meaning miles and miles and miles of really dark bottomed clouds,
Yeah.
but even more importantly, vertical development. I have flown to Cloudbase on the middle of a cloud that was 15 miles wide, but I
Hmm.
approached it from the side and I could see that it's only 3,000 feet tall. So if it's not really towering, if it's not getting tall, then the thunderstorm risk is much smaller. Also, like the time of the
Right.
day, how long the clouds are lasting in general, how many clouds are there in the sky. And one of the best ways that I try to assess this is looking at the shadows on the ground. Right? When you look down to the ground, you're like, oh, it's like a square mile. That's totally fine. It's 5,000 foot by 5,000 foot cloud. That's actually a real small one. And you can see how many other clouds there are. When you start seeing really big shadows, when you start seeing clouds that used to be disparate clouds that are now forming into one cloud, when you're seeing clouds that get wild vertical development. Like the other day, we were flying towards Lakeview and we saw something like shoot a big tower out, and I was like, oh, it's going to nimbus. And then 15 minutes later, that, you know, 15,000 foot tall tower had disappeared. And
Hmm.
then an hour later, it did it again. A big old penis shaped thing comes out of the cloud, and then 15 minutes later, it's gone again. So uh, that's the kind of that's how I keep my finger on the pulse of what's happening. This day that we're talking about, man, it was blue, 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 and then big thermals would rip off, and you'd get a little cloud that would go from a wisp to a nice, healthy, hearty little cumulus cloud, and then 10 minutes later, it was gone.
Yeah.
Those are the perfect clouds you want to knock your head against. It's the
Mm.
perfect cloud you want to knock your head against. So there's something that I learned around here when I was young in my career. I went to probably 13,000 feet cloud base, and I like went under one cloud, and then there was another disparate cloud, like a distinctly separate cloud in front, and then another distinctly separate cloud, and then another cloud. And I let myself go into the edge of one, and there was a gap, and I went into the next one, and then I didn't come out for like 25 minutes. And when I came out of the cloud, my glider was covered in ice. I was covered in ice. I had gone to 14.5 inside the cloud. And the clouds that were once singular clouds had all connected.
Hmm.
So when you're in Colombia, how high was the cloud off the ground?
I mean, maybe 1,000 meters,
3,000 feet. And the clouds yesterday, how high were they off the ground?
4,000 meters.
Okay, so the point is in Colombia, you have a thermal that's 1,000 meters tall that's feeding a cloud. And here in the high desert, you have a 4,000 meter tall thermal that's feeding a cloud. So, what you don't know is how much energy is below you as that cloud starts to form. And that's why
Hmm.
you don't want to let yourself go into clouds that are really, really, really high off the ground, pretty much
Mm.
ever. In
Yeah.
Colombia, we get to like bop through and we get to like cloud surf and we get to like
Yeah.
it's way easier to trust that clouds that are 1,000 meters off the ground are not going to become overdeveloped things because basically what we're also worried about that I mention or that I like kind of allude to in my story is that clouds grow horizontally, right?
Hmm.
When you see a little wisp, it starts in one spot and then it grows and grows and grows and grows horizontally. A really big, strong cumulonimbus can grow horizontally faster than your glider can glide.
Right.
So, watching how
Yeah.
fast does this thing develop horizontally, how much air is there beneath me, all of those things are great things to consider. So, I like that you're conservative here, but on the other end of the spectrum, you really need to use your ration here and your understanding to be able to soothe your nervous system. Use your intellect to soothe your nervous system here. And you say, is there overdevelopment in the area? Are there any
Right.
really big clouds around? Look around. And you say, no, there's not. Are there really big shadows on the ground? No, they're just little dots of shadow on the ground. Um, is anything really dark bottomed and expansive? No, it's not. Is anything towering? No, it's not. Are there big blue holes and can I escape it even if I was right up next to it at Cloudbase? Yes, I can. Okay. At that point, great. We're all green lights. We're all green
Hmm.
lights. So, um, and here comes my obedience shtick. Basically, as you're beginning to find out, the atmosphere is so incredibly complex and powerful that getting yourself into a situation where you fight against it is like not only foolish, but can traumatize you, right?
Totally.
This
Yeah.
is why people are so afraid of cloud suck. People are so afraid of cloud suck. And often they make mistakes in trying to deal with it because they get so scared that they want down. And down is never an option in a cloud suck situation. You have to get away.
Yeah.
So, my point is, you really want to start to train your mind to obey the atmosphere, go with it. And you want to stay on the ground on days that it will overdevelop, right? If you looked at the forecast for the day, you would have seen 0% chance of overdevelopment from here to Boise. Okay.
Hmm.
All of the overdevelopment potential was on the California border. And we saw that all day. The
Yeah.
Steens, Lakeview, Christmas Valley, That was where it got really big and congested, but I never actually saw anything Nimbus. I didn't see anything get taller than 10,000 feet.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so using that, like you should be afraid of overdevelopment. You should be afraid of thunder. You should be afraid of nimbusine clouds that suck you up to 30,000 feet. But unless you see some of those, then what's like we got to play within our bounds here. Also, the other day you and I climbed Mount Shasta. We climbed to 14,400 and we were fine. We were laughing, having fun. We were like hiking with big, heavy skis on our back. And so we
Yep.
know that you and I can both survive quite heartily at altitude. So when you were at 12,000 feet and you thought, oh, I don't want to go higher, there was something that you were putting in your mind. There was like a seed of fear that was you were putting in your mind that can grow into
Definitely.
something worse, that can grow into panic, that can grow into like irrational flight decisions.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
And
I think I felt very alone and on my own, which is kind of silly. Of course you're flying a paraglider, nobody's with you, and you're doing XC with four people that are three of them are faster than you. So most of this flight, I'm not going to see anybody. But when I'm at that altitude and I see how far away the ground is, and like I see the cars on the highway and they're just like little ants, it made me feel like, fuck, man, I'm up here, like on my
oh,
own, like
brother.
you know what I mean? Like
Oh, brother.
so
This is,
that really got in my head.
oh, man. And honestly, Max, this is something that I have been growing in for 12 years. Like this is literally part of it. Like I used to I used to like launch and climb out and be like, "Oh my God, I'm so alone. I'm so afraid." And this muscle of being alone, this muscle of being self-reliant, this muscle of being so insignificant that you're 4,000 meters off the ground and the semi trucks don't even look like ants. They look like cells. They look like
Yeah,
cells in the highways and artery. They are so, so small. You're so specked out. Yesterday, I went to 17,000 feet where the ground is 3,000 feet. I was 14 grand over the ground.
3 miles above the ground. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You can do it.
It's so, so far and so high, and you are so alone. So your feeling is true. So you're honestly on like a stratospheric path of cross country that I was not on. Like I have chipped away at this. I have earned it slowly and more lonely. And um, and so just know that you get used to this feeling because you're totally right. Your intuition of, oh my God, I'm so alone up here. You're right. You are. Oh my God, I'm
Yeah.
so insignificant up here. I'm kind of powerless up here. You are. It's totally true. This is why obedience is a concept that I love to think about and talk about with cross country because it's like I am alone, I am insignificant, I am now surrendered to the atmosphere in so many ways, and I'm good with it. I'm good with it. I'm going with it. I'm going with it. So when I take a big climb, and yesterday I was like, I was at like 14,500 and I found myself in a solid climb that was taking me higher and higher and to the cloud. I mean, the climb stopped, it petered out. It was like a 1.2. And I was like, nah, let's just top this out. Let's just get an extra max altitude for the day. Let's get a big number. Let's get a big number for the boys. This one's for Evan Garcia. Come on. He's stuck at home with a kid. You got to get to base here for your dudes. So, uh, you know, the air never hurt anybody. It's always the ground. So being super specked out is kind of where you want to be and obeying the atmosphere and not putting like things in your head that you're going to like have to fight against the atmosphere. You cannot fight against the atmosphere. It just doesn't
Hmm.
work like that. So don't set up battles for yourself that you can't fight. And that's one of them.
Yep.
Don't fight against lift. If you're in lift, the best thing you can do is turn in the lift, go tall, get tall. This is why you want to forecast the weather. You want to forecast the temperature at top of lift. You want to be prepared with your equipment, with your clothing, with your goggles, with your gloves, with your food,
Yeah.
with your water, with your retrieve, with your knowledge of the place, with your fitness so that you know wherever you land, you can hike 10 miles today.
Yeah.
These are all the ways
Yeah.
that you are prepared, and I knew you were prepared yesterday because I know your preparations, so I felt good. I knew that you could be out there all day. I knew that you could land and be in the hot sun and walking and had enough water and enough food to get yourself back
Yeah.
to the highway and all these things. So,
I will
um,
say though that so the day before I had a flight and I got I think 12 grand, maybe yeah, I think 12 grand. And I was in shorts and a puffy. Um and at 14 here or where I'm about to be, I was very cold.
yeah.
And maybe we'll continue the flight and I'll talk about my experience, but it it didn't help the situation being that
No,
cold.
and this is the thing, man. You're because everything you're talking about is pretty nervous system aware. You use the term triggered, you use the term afraid, you use the term cold. These are all states of your
Yeah.
nervous system. And so little things like being cold, little things like the sound of the vario being too loud and being like abrasive, um, little things
Mhm.
about like playing loud music while you're thermaling, all these things stimulate your nervous system. So each one of these you want to like really control for. So for me,
Yeah.
yesterday, I basically had my pit zips open at altitude, even though I
Hmm.
had my electric glove liners on and my big gloves on over that. So my hands were warm, but my body was actually getting quite cold. And
Hmm.
I didn't zip up my pit zips as early as I should have, and I let myself get a little cold. So by the time I was at 17, I was properly cold. And I knew it,
Yeah.
and I was just like, "Yep, this is what it is. You're cold because you're at 17. And this is what, like you kind of learn to expect it." Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, just taking care of yourself, eating early, drinking early, staying warm, staying cool. It's like if you get low, like take your gloves off early. If you get low, unzip your jacket. If you get low, crack your pod open with your feet. All of these things, like doing everything a little bit earlier than you really need, just to really manage your physiology is the name of the game. Because if you're going to fly 8 hours, if you're going to fly 300K, like this is just how you have to survive. If you get too hot, you get too thirsty, you get too thirsty, you get too dehydrated. It's like you just kind of like keep the show on the road. The most important thing isn't that you're like pounding downwind and pushing full bar. It's actually that the pilot that is the main part of the aircraft is in good functioning order, can think, is clear, these kinds of
Totally.
things.
Yeah. And I think at a pilot in my at my level, like I had a goal yesterday. I wanted to get to Burns, like 100 miles away, but my primary goal was just to fly a lot, right? So
Yeah.
this day I flew 3 hours. The day before I flew three and a half. I want to push, 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
And the only thing stopping me really is is how I feel, right? Um,
Absolutely. And this is what you're mentioning is that you're you only have so much in your tank for like emotional exertion. So if you get low and you get stressed, it's like taking money out of your tank quick.
yep,
If you get
yep,
high and you get scared, it's taking energy out of your tank quick. The more calm, even keeled emotionally you can remain, the further you can fly. The further you can fly. And some of the hardest
yeah,
flights I've ever done, the longest ones, I like got scared, I got mad, I got frustrated, I had expectation, I got disappointed, all of these things. And this takes energy out of your tank and you just land and you're just existentially tired to the bone.
yeah,
Whereas I think now I'm flying a little bit more calm. I feel
yep,
calmer this year. I feel a little safer and a little calmer.
yeah.
Okay, but let's watch this track log as you totally spec out. The climb gets more and more productive here. I see you're at 4.56.
So yeah, so
Wow, that's a
here
stronger
I'm
climb than I ever had.
yeah. So here I at 12 I was pretty happy and the cloud, let me try to put this in perspective, but the cloud was basically building to my south and it was running east. So when I decided to like stop thermaling and go and glide, I started to hedge around the corner of the cloud and just keeping that 45-degree rule in mind. I didn't want to be directly under it. And I basically the cloud is like right here and yeah, I was hedging north away towards the edge of the cloud. Um, but yeah, I'm on bar, man, and yeah,
3
my
meters a
vario's going
second.
off, and I'm going quite fast. Like I'm on definitely on a half bar here. Um, and throughout this, I'm getting very cold, very high, and I start to like almost hyperventilate. and I have a buff on, and I'm just like doing heavy breathing through my mouth. My nose is like
Deliberately?
deliberately, and then I realized
What
it,
was
and
the
then I
thought
started.
behind this?
Well, I was like, I started to feel dizzy, and I'm not sure if the dizziness was in my head. And then I started to breathe heavy to get more oxygen. And then it was just kind of like this terrible cycle of hyperventilating at altitude, which just makes you more dizzy.
Yeah.
So, I realized that what I was doing to myself, and I started to actually do some box breaths and just like breathe through my nose and hold for 4 seconds, um,
Mm.
which helped, But around this time, I was like, all right, let's just get away from the cloud street, get to the highway, so I have like a nice landing zone and just figure things out. So,
Okay,
um,
so there's basically there's you like the nail is in the coffin emotionally
at this
that
point,
you have
yes, and
and,
you
and
know,
here's
I've
the thing,
I've
Max, like you're
yeah,
young into this sport, bro. It's
yeah,
like you're young into the sport. This muscle of like being alone, uncertain
hmm
in a hazardous situation of paragliding because paragliding is dangerous, your body knows it. This
yeah,
is a muscle that grows. So your decision to like fly towards the highway and keep really good LZs on glide, this is all like a great idea. And just know that as you fly more and more, this will just become more and more normal, and you'll be able to just it's business as usual,
definitely, yeah, yeah. I'm not like looking back. I'm not frustrated. I know this is part of the process,
right?
and I've already seen progress in my own flying. Like
Hell yeah.
last season, I couldn't fly more than 20 minutes at Pine without getting triggered and landing right, and now I'm pushing an hour at least. So,
Yep.
yeah, yeah,
Great.
yeah. So I pushed towards the highway. And I'm kind of so yesterday I had a flight and I also got triggered, but I got triggered in an area where I couldn't really land, or I didn't want to figure out if there were good landings.
Uh-huh. The day
And I
before
was
yesterday.
able the day before yesterday, yeah. So in that flight, I basically just got off bar and went downwind and just like chilled out. And then I got into an area called Christmas Valley, which is like very green, and it was super light flying. And I was able to recover, like totally recover within 20-30 minutes um like getting triggered, like being ready to fly more, and I flew maybe 90 minutes more. But today in my head, I was like, well, like the terrain doesn't change, and I'm going to be in this air for the rest of the day to get to Burns. So um, I didn't really see a path. Um, Maybe I didn't give myself enough time. I did kind of boat around above Hampton, which was my intended LZ. Hampton's right here. It was like a coffee shop. Um, but I boated around here for a bit, just like found some sink and started to spiral a bit. And then yeah, I decided just to call it. Like Hampton's a good place as any. Riley is the next other good LZ, but it was still quite a ways. Um, and didn't really want to like land out on the highway here. Even like it's just like a fast, hot highway. It was like 90 degrees on the ground. Um, there was a bit of a. Should I talk about my landing? I had a
Yeah, zoom in and let's show us the place, and then let's actually unshare your screen so that as we talk about this, people don't just have to stare at the.
yeah. So I should that, and then how should I do this, Ari? Like, I want this to
Yeah,
be,
512 is a little too much, so
how do I undo that?
click the minus button. Minus. There you go.
Oops. All right, we'll do that. Okay. So, all right, here we go. So I'm coming in. Wind is coming pretty much
West,
west.
northwest.
Yeah. And my LZ was, I initially wanted to land right here, but there was actually an RV parking there, which also was like, great, I'll get a ride with this guy. Um, and so, but then I ended up deciding to land on this side of the highway. The highway was clear. I have a very good vantage point of the highway. Behind me, there was a semi truck, and the semi truck. When I was here, the semi truck was coming around this corner. I had eyes on it, and as I come in for final, I realize that this guy is. We're going to intersect. Like, not he's not going to hit me, but like we're going to come. I'm going to land at the same time he's going to pass me. And I had this realization when I was too low to the ground. This is real time speed, so we'll just watch this, play this out. But I do some patterns around the building, and then I go towards where my LZ is going to be, which is the shoulder. And the truck is, it's coming down the highway, and I'm looking at it. And about here, now if the app Sports Track Live, it always puts your altitude higher than it is, so I'm much closer to the ground at this point. But um, at this point, the truck is like right here, and it passes me, and I know that because Arias told me before, like there's wake that these semi trucks create, and that it will fuck your wing up. So I knew that in the back of my head, um, and I thought that going on bar and just pushing away from the highway was an option, but I didn't do it. Um, Mostly because there was just bullshit here. Like there was some. This is like a cow fence and
Yeah.
area, so I didn't really want to get close to it. But um, what happened was the semi passed me, and then I got in its wake, and I spun the glider into the ground. And you'll see. Whoa, fuck. Let's go back to it. You can see it on the altitude. Come on, just yeah, you can see the inflection point of the altitude, and I go down quite a bit right there,
Yeah.
right? And
Hmm.
that's me. My right wing spun, and I landed super lucky, man. Like um, I landed on my ass, and I have a Polaroid seat protector. I didn't really have time to like react to it because I was so low, and like it just happened. Um, and right, my right side spins. I'm spinning to the right, and I landed on like basically between the soft shoulder and the sage dirt. So it was
Yeah.
very soft. I got really lucky. I think I like bit my tongue, and I like stood up, and I was like, did that really just happen? Like, and like, checking myself, like, okay, my back's not broken, thank God. Um, right when I landed, I like was like, hey Siri, call Haley, because I just like wanted a human like to talk to and just like make sure that if I'm a vegetable on the side of the highway that
Yeah.
I can communicate to somebody.
Yeah.
But uh, but yeah, I was fine, and I balled up and walked across the highway sheepishly. And like that's the last time I'm
Sheepish.
ever gonna land close to a fucking highway. Like look at all the other LZs. I could have landed just like 200 meters away from the highway, totally safe, and just balled up or dealt with the sage and walked to the highway safely. But I didn't do that, so
Okay,
that
so
was a
why
mistake, and
is
I
it do you
regret.
think that you spun the glider?
I mean, I think that I was coming in north. I was coming in southwest, right? This direction,
Uh-huh.
and the wake of the truck was coming this way, and the right side of my glider was facing the truck, right? So I'm kind of going parallel with the road here, and I imagine that it just I don't exactly know if I got a collapse or I spun. It kind of felt like a spin to me. Um, but
So do you think that you were
yeah,
kind of fixating on the truck and you were afraid and you may have just pulled more brake and spun the glider?
definitely possible. Definitely. Well, I don't know. Um, I do remember not actually having a lot of brake on final. Like I wasn't like deep in the brakes. I was just kind of like at a normal position. I do remember that.
Yeah.
Um, so it's possible that it just took a whack. Like maybe my glider, I got an asymmetric collapse, and it just turned me. Um,
Hmm.
and I wasn't prepped for that. Because you're kind of like out of your pod, and you're not really ready to like lean the other direction.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Well, the thing is about your story is that the wake of a truck is very real, especially a semi truck at 70 miles an hour makes a very serious wake.
hmm
Very serious. Um, but even when you touch down, your glider is still 30 feet off the ground,
hmm
right? So if a
yeah,
truck is
yeah,
15 feet, then the
yeah.
glider, the wake is definitely going to reach up there. But as you touch the ground, your glider is just starting to come into that
That's
rotor.
true. I was a little bit below, like the highway is
I
raised
see
here.
that. Yep, I see that. So maybe
But
another 5 feet. So it's not
yeah,
impossible, and you should consider this.
hmm
Also, when you're thinking about wake, you want to think about, the wind here is west northwest. So it could be blowing directly down the highway, which could keep the turbulence away from the side of the road. If it was
yeah.
really cross, it could blow the turbulence right into you or right away from you based on which side you're at. But in general, Max, this was a not a very conservative landing decision.
Hmm.
and you're really stuffing it in there next to the highway. Um,
Yeah.
do as I say, not as I do. Take
Yes,
conservative landing fields. I kind of have a bad habit of stuffing it into the most convenient place.
you sure
Um,
do.
but um, but here, I think just take a more conservative landing field. My guess is that you spun the glider being fixated and scared and trying to manage. Oh, where's this truck? Is the truck coming? Oh my God, I'm getting close. Here's the truck and the sound of the truck and then you were like, you
Yeah.
just pulled more brake and spun the glider and
Yeah.
so
I mean,
just
is it possible? Like I've spun my glider before, like on purpose, and I need to do a double wrap, and I need to like be punching down, and I definitely didn't have a double wrap here, and I definitely wasn't punching down. So, is it if I'm I guess if I'm going slower, like obviously less brakes needed to spin
you're
the
nailing
glider,
it.
but
So
yeah.
remember, you can pull an infinite amount of brake for a finite amount of time or a finite amount of brake for an infinite time.
Mm,
So if you're flaring and you've got the
yeah.
glider really slowed down, all it
Hmm.
takes is a little bit of weight shift, all it takes is a little bit of extra brake, all it takes is a little turbulence, and you can spin the
Yeah.
glider really easily when you're already slow. And
Yeah.
then the sensation is going to be radically different for you of spinning is going to be radically different for you than when you spin in SIV, when you spin out here over the desert, when we're doing practice during glass off. Those kinds of spins are going to feel totally different than if you're coming in low and slow and about to land and it spins. Um,
Yep.
they're going to induce a lot less pitch and you're just going to increase your sink rate a lot and start yawing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Fair
conservative
points.
landing fields is the play. So in general, I think you're doing great. Your progressionally are, we just did a 3 day flying bender. Um, the first day you landed short because you were in your head about retrieve and about the forest. The second day you made a forest crossing, which only two people before you had ever made. Um, so, and then your third day, you made 90K down the highway. Pretty good whack there. So in general, just know that this is a muscle that builds up. The being alone thing, there's so like paragliding, so many of us can turn circles in a thermal. So many of us can track a thermal. So many of us can keep the glider open in thermals. But there's far fewer pilots who can deal with the mental game of being alone, being uncertain, not knowing how exactly they're going to get back, not knowing exactly where they're going to land, not knowing, like all these things, managing their physiology. So much of this game is mental. And that is the part that you are now growing in big time.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah.
Other,
I feel I'm proud of my progression so far, and I'm very grateful that I have you as a mentor and such a good community of pilots here in Central Michigan.
yeah, man.
Everybody listening here should make an effort to fly Pine Mountain. It's a great site.
I was thinking that
Yeah,
yesterday. I was like, somehow I'm at 17,000 feet here in one of the best cross country venues in the world, and I have it to myself all the time.
yeah,
So
we're very lucky.
it's kind of a travesty. Okay, Max, well done. Love you. Hope this was helpful.
Take care, man. I'll see you
Okay,
around.
see ya.